Olam. And so we're going to go now. I'm going to just take it over from here and go to my share screen. Share sound, share screen. There's no sound, but that's it. Fine. Okay. So now, last week, I introduced the Book of Wisdom to you, Proverbs, Book of Proverbs. You have several books in that category. We have, getting an echo. The speaker should be off. Let me make sure. This is off. Yeah, there we go. I think I got it. There we go. So there should be no echo. Proverbs. There's several books in the category of wisdom. There's the book of Job, Eov, which asks the question of why do bad things happen to good people. The book of Ecclesiastes, who is anti-Proverbs. He basically is against the book of Proverbs. Everything that's in the book of Proverbs, he's out to undo. All right, and then we have the book of Proverbs. Psalms has some elements in the book of Proverbs in it also, but mainly Proverbs. The idea of being what is the right way for the person to act, the proper way to think. And associated with King Solomon, so I thought I would just throw this up at the very beginning for you, where this association with Solomon would come from. Yeah, let's see. Here it is. There we go. And so I'm just going to put it on the screen for you. And we have the famous story of Solomon as a young king on the throne. He establishes his throne. He's got his government set up. He's married the daughter of the Pharaoh, so his politics are set up correctly. And then he's trying to figure out, well, how do I run this country? He goes to give on. And while he's there, God appears to him in a dream, says, what shall I grant you? And he says, you've made my servant in place of David. Let me make it a little bit bigger, somewhere in between. There we go. In place of my father David. But I'm a young lad, no experience in leadership. Grant me an understanding mind to lead your people. There we go. An understanding mind to lead your people, judge your people, distinguishing good and bad. Who can judge this vast people of yours? Remember, young King David King Solomon has inherited a big kingdom from his father David. So it's really Advo Hamat into the up into Syria, deep into Syria, the El Arish on the Sinai, big territory. And so his answer is he's going to get, he says, I want this wisdom to judge the people. So he says, finally, he gives them both not only wisdom, but also riches and glory. And I would contrast this with the famous story of the Trojan War. How does the Trojan War start out? Somebody, to cause dissent among the goddesses, throws an apple in the middle of the three goddesses. Juno, who represent the goddess of power and rule, Athena, the goddess of wisdom, and Venus, the goddess of love. And they each one want the golden apple, right? And so they call him this young man, whose name is, what's the guy? Troy. Oi, the bad guy in the Trojan story. The one who steals the woman. Paris, right. Is it Paris? Okay. Right. Paris is the guy who causes the trouble. Hector's the great hero. Anyway, he picks Venus and he gets the most beautiful woman in the world. At which point, of course, Juno, the goddess of power, and Athena, goddess of wisdom, have it in for the Trojans. That's the story, right? Solomon, in contrast, and Solomon is around the same time that the story of the Trojan story, Homer is writing somewhere around the same time as Solomon, give or take a century or so. So it's a good parallel. He goes for wisdom, he gets 1,000 women. Okay, see, if you're wise enough, you get the woman. He gets the power, he gets the wealth, if you're wise enough. So, and he proves, of course, the story, later on, we have the story of the baby, the two women come, the dead baby, and he plays a psychological game, cut them in half. Look at the description of Solomon. This is from the Book of Kings, chapter 5, first Book of Kings. Solomon's nature. God endowed Solomon with wisdom and discernment in great measure, and understanding vast as the sands of the sea. Sure. Wisdom greater than the wisdom of all the Kedemites. Kedem, the people of the east, this is the Bedouins. Bedouins were thought of as people with great wisdom. You live in the desert, you live by your wisdom. and all the wisdom of the Egyptians. The Egyptians have their wisdom also. Or Kedem may be the Babylonians, that may also be the way. Wisest of all men, wiser than Ethan the Ezrahite, Heman Chalkol, and Darda, the sons of Machol. Fame spread among the nations. Composed 3,000 proverbs and songs 1,005. Now you understand why proverbs would have been identified with Solomon. He discoursed about the trees from the cedar in Lebanon to the hyssop that grows out of gold, the most powerful tree to the most, the weediest of the weeds. And he discoursed about beasts, birds, and creeping things and fishes. And this is a man who understood nature, the kind of science of its day, the nature of the biology, zoology of its day. Men of all peoples come to hear Solomon's wisdom, sent by the kings who heard of his wisdom. You know the famous story of the Queen of Sheba comes to visit Solomon because she comes from the farthest land known at that time, which may have been Yemen, may have been Ethiopia, Eritrea, in that area. So that's the personality of Solomon. So now I'm going to go in and just show you basically quickly, and I'm not going to belabor too much, the introduction on the purpose of the collection, the value of wisdom, and wisdom is the greatest wealth, as a practical benefit to wisdom, right? And then wisdom as a female deity, where wisdom is the counterpart to God. She's almost as if she's the first creation of God, we'll see that, and the foundation of the universe. And then the practical side, why live a goodly life? The reward and the punishment of those who live the goodly life. And then going to the feminine, and on the negative side, the dangers of the feminine as the temptress, folly describing the language of feminine. But then the opposite, which is wisdom as the loyal female companion, both parents the source of wisdom, not just the father, the mother, both parents source of wisdom. Then wisdom as the sister and kin, wisdom as the nurturing woman, and then we'll talk about the woman as the highest good to find, and the Eshet Chayil, conclusion of the book. So I'm going to run down these one step at a time. I don't want to take too long, but I'm going to the introduction to wisdom. Can you read it from here? Tell me if it's okay. I'm going to try to shrink this a little bit here. Just have my bulletin here to help me. There we go. All right, is that, can you read it from where you're sitting? Okay, so Mishle Shlomo, right? That's Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king in Israel, right? That's our label. Why? What's the purpose of the collection? Ledat chokhmah umusar, to know wisdom and musar. Musar is instruction, instruction that is taught. So wisdom is something from inside, instruction is something that's taught and conveyed. From the word moser, misorah, right? We talk about the tradition, the rabbinic tradition, misorah, moser. Also musar, teaching in the sense of yisarim, which can be this forced education, whether you like it or not. Lavin imrei binan, to understand the words of understanding. All right? Lekachat musar haskel tzedek umishpat umesher. For what purpose? To take logical and intelligent conclusions for the purpose of tzedek, righteousness, mishpat, justice, and mesharim, the ways of the just. Meshar, straight. It's an ancient Mesopotamian word for the system of justice. Mesharu. And it appears in this place. I don't know if it appears elsewhere in the Bible. Mesharim, the straight path. Right? Ledat pitaim, letet lepitaim orma, to give to the simple, orma meaning insight, cleverness. We use it today as being too clever, but it means sharpness of mind. Lena dat umiziman, to the young man, knowledge, umizima, and also mizima in modern Hebrew meaning scheming, but it means in the sense planning, understanding, developing. Yishma chacham v'yosef lekach. When a wise person listens, he gets understanding. V'navon tach belot yikneh. And one who is of understanding will gain strategies and methods. We may say that to wise counsels. That's how I translate. Lavin mashal u'melitza, to understand parallels, and melitza, figures of speech. Divrei chachamim v'chidotam, and the words of the wise, and their chida. Modern Hebrew chida is a riddle. The word chida, sharpness. Chud. Achod chida, I shall riddle you a riddle, but in the sense of chad, meaning sharpness. Right? Chidotam, intended to sharpen the mind. Yirat Adonai, the fear of the Lord. Reshit da'at chokhmah umusar ivelim bazu. Before you start with wisdom, though, it's Yirat Hashem. You have to understand there's a foundation, which is the awe of God. When you have awe of God, when you build your wisdom on that, that is Reshit da'at. Umusar ivelim bazu. The foolish people, ivelim, run away from instruction. Okay, so that's the introduction. All right, so now that's the purpose of the collection. So we then want to contrast then why wisdom, our purpose is to why folly is foolish. So I'm skipping down to verses 1, chapter 120 to 23. Folly. Okay, so the Hebrew, go back. They use the word the fool. Well, I'm sorry. Here, this is the word ivelim. They use the word foolish. In other places, they translate the word folly, tipshut, ivlut. All right, ivlut would be distorted. All right, here, folly. Oh, let me go back to this in the folly, foolishness. All right, start with that. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Okay, so here is what's the problem for us. Wisdom, hachamot. Wisdom. Notice it's intentionally, it's a feminine plural, but meaning the wisdom. Achamot b'chutz tarona, the wise wisdom sings out into the streets. Titen kola, berchavot titen kola. She gives her voice in the streets. Barosh homiyot tikra pitchei sha'arim ba'ir. Right? She calls at the head of the noisiest streets in the episode of the guest. So wisdom is not hiding. She's out there. She's shouting at us. Look and understand. Right? It's not something secret. All right? How long you thoughtless will you love thoughtless? Right? Peta'im, tavu petty. Petty in modern Hebrew is a silly child. So people who do dumb stuff, peta'im, they do dumb stuff. Leitzim latzon hamdu. What's a letz? A letz in Yiddish. What's a letz? Letz. A clown. We mean it in a negative sense. Now, we do use leitzan for clown, nechmad, but a letz is a scoffer, makes fun of everything, right? Leitzim latzon hamadu. But there's this repetition, peta'im tavu peti. Also, this kind of Hebrew, the foolish love foolishness. Leitzim latzon hamdu. The scoffers desire scoffing, scorning, right? Uksilim yisnudat, and the stupid ones hate knowledge. All right, so that's the foolishness. Then he goes, she's calling them. Turn you at my reproof, hold up pure my spirit unto you. I'll make known my words to you. But I call you and you refuse. I'm calling you. It's not hidden. I'm calling you. I stretched out my hand and no one attended. Our wisdom is here. It's there. It's calling you, but you're not coming. Said, not at my counsel with none of my reproof. Yeah. So wisdom is the combination of all those intellectual properties that are essential for the good life. And go back to the foundation of the universe. And it is in the feminine. The man is for action, but not always wise. The woman is the one who directs and guides. In this sense, think of it. The woman's the one. This is where the power of the feminine is. All right. Now, there's the woman who leads astray and the woman who leads the right path. We can go into that. We'll go into that. So, but yeah, go ahead. Supposedly. Yeah. Yeah, the word. The rabbis have a saying. We define age, old age, as 60, zaken, and they say zaken. Hebrew is actually abbreviation for zeh, kana, chokhmah. The initials zeh, zayin, kana, kuf. Then the hey at the end for or nun, kana from kana bought. He bought wisdom, acquired wisdom. When you hit 60, finally you know what's happening. You understand. By the way, the same thing in the world. Even in highly patriarchal societies, when the mother is past the childbearing stage, she becomes the authority. You find this in tribal societies. The mother, I mean, so the chief of the clan gives the orders, but the mother, he turns to the mother for the wisdom. It's in tribal societies, and I think of Bedouin societies and so on. So even the macho patriarchal societies, even there, the mother, once they pass the because they own the printing press. That I basically that is. In other words, because of the economics, right? And that's why things are so different there. But because of the economics of human history, the transmission, the writing, the editing is male. Just as most other things going around in history, the wars are male mostly, but there are always women exceptions. The great conqueror of the Egyptians was the queen Hatshepsut. Right, that's right. The woman, the Berber commander that almost prevented Islam from sweeping across North Africa is the woman, queen, who presumably was also Jewish. So I say that there's always those exceptions, but yeah. So, oh, you have a lot of the women of wisdom. The women are, you look at the portrayals. So Sarah's doing a lot of decision making and so on. Rebecca is the one who chooses. Rebecca is the one who understands which son is the true son. Then you go into the Miriam as the prophetess, and she's given the status of prophetess, and then the. Well, that's a family dispute, but it's not because she's a woman. It's she because she's the one who's leading in this case. That's why. But no, but afterwards you have the daughters of Zelophehad who question the inheritance. Oh, you go into the period of judges. You have Deborah. You have the wise woman of, and I can't remember the town, who surrenders the villain. And brings peace by convincing them to surrender the villain, and so on, all down the line. The one who discovers the Bible, gives the book of Deuteronomy, or she determines its authenticity. So they have much more than we think. Much more than we think. Yeah, it's just like I said. To the most part, the printing press is run by the guy. Right? That's so we don't have, which is too bad. We don't have a lot of statements and collections. We have some things in the name of women. Also in rabbinic stories, we have some things. Yeah. Well, the women don't have the power, physical power, to carry out in an ancient society what needed to be carried out. That's the main point. That's the division, and hence the division of responsibilities in all pre-technological societies. Coming to a technological society, that physical difference disappears. Yeah. Matters, So those are different functions. They're right. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, right. So, yeah, what the, yeah. Yeah. No, so some anthropologists talk about this and say we're wrong to talk about patriarchal or matriarchal societies, but what we have are hybrid societies, actually, even antiquity. More hybrid. Yeah. No, here's the women get the credit. Here, let me just go ahead. So this wisdom is clear. She says, you don't find me, all sorts of disasters is going to fall upon you. Okay. What's the value of wisdom? And let's be practical about it. Does it have a value? Give me practical. Be practical. All right? My son, if you receive my words, lay up my commandments with thee, you will make thy ears attend unto wisdom, thy heart incline to discernment, call for understanding, lift up a voice. What will you get? Seek her as silver and search for as for hidden treasures. Then you shall understand the fear of the Lord. Right. So if you look for wisdom, you'll come to the fear of the Lord. Interesting. Find the knowledge of God. So we say on the one hand, first you have to have the fear of God in order to find wisdom. But then the reverse, if you actually follow wisdom, you'll come to fear of God. You will have no other choice than to come to that conclusion. For God gives wisdom. Out of his mouth comes knowledge and discernment. Okay? So you follow the path of wisdom, you will come to God. You find God, you'll come to wisdom. It's both ways. That's the value. But we also want to be practical. Practical. As what's the benefit of wisdom? It's right into line 13. Ashrei Adam matzah chokhmah, Adam yafik tuna. Happy is the man who has found wisdom, and the man will gain understanding. Why? Ki tov sachara misachar kesef. For the merchandise of wisdom is greater than the merchandise of money. Umecharutz tuvota, and the benefits, the harvest is greater than the finest gold. Yakarahi mipninim, she is more valuable than pearls, pnim or rubies, depends on how you want to translate it. All right? And kochavtzeha lo yeshvuba. All your objects of desire cannot be equal to the value of wisdom itself. If you follow wisdom, you have long life, and then you'll have the wealth and the honor. Not the other way around. If you pursue wealth and honor, you'll never get to the wisdom, and you won't get those either. But if you pursue wisdom, you'll come to that. And of course, then we have the finest line, all the paths of peace, and all her ways pleasantness. She is the tree of life. Wisdom is the tree of life. That's the tree of life in the Garden of Eden that we were not allowed to eat. We can acquire, we got the tree of knowledge. That was not necessarily wisdom, but we can acquire wisdom and thereby gain the tree of life. Okay, now, wisdom as something more than just a mechanical thing that we have in our brain. Wisdom is the foundation of the universe. God operates through wisdom. It is almost as if wisdom is an entity separate from God, as if wisdom is God's consort. It's God and wisdom. And we have some theories that in transition between the first temple period into the second temple period, we come to the questions, God is very abstract, and there's a mechanism to control the universe, and that mechanism is wisdom. That's one of these periods, intertestamental period. Yeah. He goes one step further. So we have the practical wisdom, our mind, our intellect. In that sense, we have the Tselem Elohim, the image of God, the ability to make decisions and choices. But now it goes a further step. Adonai b'chokhmah yasad aretz. God founded the world with wisdom. Konen shamayim b'tfunah. Right. So God used wisdom to establish the earth and understanding to establish the heavens. Right. It is with his mind, his knowledge, that he opened up the chasms and the heavens bring dew. Right. So, but now so wisdom as a tool of God, wisdom as an approach of God, wisdom as a method of God. How about one step more than that? Wisdom is not talking Adonai Kanani Reshit Darko. God created me as the first element of his going. Reshit Darko. Kedem mifalav me'az. The first of his works of old. In other words, that is the first act of creation of God. Before anything else, the Torah doesn't tell us about it. It says, Bereshit bara Elohim, God creates heaven and earth. No. First, God creates wisdom. Me'olam nisachti merosh mikadmei aretz. From the beginning, I was set up, or ever the earth was, before the world was. Nisachti, the pouring out, the dedication. B'terem harim hatafu, hatba'u, b'fnei givot halalti. Before the mountains were established in their place, and before the hills came into being, I was halalti. Right? I was brought forth. This is wisdom. So wisdom is the shaper of the universe under God. That's why you want wisdom. You understand how wisdom is not just a tool, it is the very sacred, precious path whereby God runs the universe. Therefore, you want to be in the realm of wisdom. Before the mountains were settled, before the hills, while we had not yet made the earth or the fields. Before you established the heavens, I was there. I set the circle upon the face of the deep. Those paths in the sky where the planets follow and so on. I'm there setting it up. Wisdom. And when the fountains of deep showed their might, right? The great clouds above and the heavens above, and the fountains from below. I'm there, where he sets a dividing line for the ocean, that the ocean stops at this point and goes no more. There's where I was. Now, this goes back to ancient mythology. There's a war in the ancient Babylonian myths, the Canaanite myths, the Egyptian myths, between the sea and the gods. And the gods have to destroy the sea. In the biblical sense, there's a firm line. It is a division. It is done through intellect and wisdom, not in a war of any demonic powers. Right? So it's reflecting a particular Judaic point of view. All right, so there he is. Okay. I was there at the foundations of the earth. Right? Even playful. I was there as his own nursling child, the very first child. I was his delight. Playing in his presence all the time. And now I'm giving the delight and pleasure to the children of humanity. From this great wisdom where the universe is established, now I'm coming to the humanity and I'm giving this to you. Humanity. Now take it. Take the wisdom, right? It's a great plea for acting, choosing the course of wisdom. Because in this sense now, in accepting wisdom, I am raising myself up to a high level. Okay. Some of the bad sides of why you don't want to be then in the sides of the foolish. Going back to chapter 118. I'm jumping back and forth. Look at this. Shma b'ni musar avicha, v'al titosh torat emecha. Listen, my son, to the teachings of your father, Musar, Usually the father is the disciplinarian. Valti tosh, do not abandon Torat imecha. Who gives Torah? The mother, Torah, teaching. So the father gives the discipline, the mother gives the teaching. Don't abandon either of them. These teachings from your parents, they are the chaplet of grace. That's how they translate it, and a beautiful necklace around your throat. Now, when sin comes to deceive you, or sinners come to entice you, do not go to them. Come with us. Join our gang. We're going to gang up on someone. We're going to shed blood, right? So this is the worry of every parent growing up, that the kid falls into bad company. And it's whether it's King Solomon worrying about his spoiled children, or it's a kid in the poorest of the poor, this is a big fear. All right? That's right. That's why we have education. Because the purpose of education is enable us to speed up this process of wisdom. So education is not, the purpose of education in modern society is to teach us either nice literature, nice art, okay, or to be a coder, be a software programmer, okay, that's useful. That's uman, a skill. For the purpose of wisdom, education, chinuch is dedication. The purpose of education then, in Hebrew, is to dedicate a person to something higher. So we start, what did you start at? Age of 3. Age of 3, Cheder began at 3. We teach Torah, we teach wisdom. We start inculcating wisdom, drip by drip, drop by drop. Hopefully, by the time the child is bar mitzvah, he's responsible. Hopefully. By the time the child is 18, hopefully he's responsible to establish a family. Hopefully. Today, when he's 28, we wish. When he's 38, okay. That's what's happening. All right? Establish, all right? Same thing with the women, same thing. Everything's delayed, right? Well, it's his son becomes a overwhelming, overbearing imperialist king, and who imposes taxation upon the peoples, and the northern tribe rebels against him. Yeah. And the king, that's where the kingdom starts to fall apart. Yeah. No. It's one of the problems. Torah ena Yerushalayim. Torah cannot be given as an inheritance. All right. So in other words, each one you have to work on it, each one individually. You can't just have inherited it from your dad. Right? And it's the problem of the failure of the parents is also a theme that goes on. Yeah. Okay. We're going to wrap up in a second. Just you get the point. You get the point. Avoid bad company, because that's when the bad company is going to drag you down into this gang warfare. You're going to kill people for nothing. You're going to destroy people. Run away from this. Right? On the other hand, if you do the right thing, you'll be rewarded. You see, like the Protestant ethic, which is the foundation of modern economics. If you are among the righteous, you're going to live and act in a certain way. And when you live and act in a certain way, you begin to accrue prosperity. That started in Switzerland and spread to Northern Europe. It was one of the reasons for the prosperity of Northern Europe. It's this kind of approach. Going back, emphasis on your behavior, your actions will accrue you prosperity. All right? Wages of the righteous is life, the increase of the wicked is sin. That's what did Samson. Well, it didn't. This haircut did him in, but okay. Okay, again. All right. There's the image of the woman is temptress, and folly also speaking in the feminine language also. But now, as I mentioned, both parents, the source of wisdom, I said, right? And then wisdom as, again, in the feminine, as your loyal companion. Let me go down quickly, right? Love her, and she will love thee. Love wisdom, it will love you in return. All right, there you go. Love wisdom, it'll love you back in return. And do not abandon her. Okay. All right. And not very by the way, embrace her and raise her up. Right? That's what you should do. Right? Okay. Okay. So knowledge, a good question. It's there's wisdom. So knowledge is a bunch of facts. Wisdom, that's dot. Wisdom is using it, applying it. That's what school is supposed to do. Whether they do it right or wrong, that's another story. But that's why we used to have Hebrew schools, Sunday schools, didn't rely on the public schools to do it. Every community knew they needed to inculcate values. So values, it's the teaching, learning of values, very important. But you also have to have skill, because the rabbi said anyone who doesn't teach his child a skill teaches him to be a thief, because it's the only option when there's no skill. Right? Oh, yes. You need skills in life so that you never become a thief and you never become a burden on anyone else. Because although we have a social system which says we must give charity, we don't want to be the recipients of charity. We want to be the givers of charity. And that comes from acquiring skills, responsibilities. There we go. A little bit more about wisdom. Wisdom as your sister. Right? Here we go. Say unto wisdom, you are my sister, and call understanding my kinswoman. Wisdom as the nurturer. Notice all these terms, they're from the feminine. Hachmot banta beta chatzava amudei hashiba. The wisdom has built her house. She has established the 7 pillars. The 7 pillars, a construction of some kind of house of that period, meaning a well-established house. Later on, the rabbis with 7 pillars indicate there are not 5 books of the Torah, but 7. But that's a different story. Look what she does. Tafcha tivcha. She. Well, it's you see in next week's Torah portion. There's a parentheses right in the middle of the page, and so they say, well, the first half of Numbers is one book. Second half of Numbers is another book. The middle section is another book by itself, which is Vayibin Sa'aron. So you count 7. So, but look what she does. Well, wisdom. She prepares her meat. Tafcha tivcha, maschayena. She's poured the wine for you. She has prepared a table for you, just like a great feast. That's what wisdom is doing for you. This is your wife. She's doing what your own wife doesn't do for you. Right? She sends forth her maid and she calls the highest place. Whoever is thoughtless, let him come now. Whoever lacks understanding, come eat my bread, drink of the wine. Forget all the thoughtfulness, right? Wisdom wants you. She's calling you. She's calling you, right? It's just like the good woman wants the man. Title. Okay, here. So where's the good woman? Notice I said that Ecclesiastes is the anti-wisdom guy. So he says, I found the woman to be as bitter as death. Not so in Proverbs. Line 22. Matzah isha. Matzah tov. If you found the woman, you found what is good. Remember, he's talking to the man. The man's the guy who's usually looking. The woman may also be looking, but it's the man who's got the active part usually. Matzah isha matzah tov. Yafek ratzon Adonai. God will give him favor. Right. Matzah isha. If he just find, good enough, he finds the woman. The woman can fix herself. Good woman, yeah. There's a rabbinic statement that in the Talmudic era, when a man would be married, they would ask him after the wedding, Motzeh o matzah, find or found? It's the quotation. And what do you think of your wife? Matzah isha, matzah tov, you found the woman, it's good, or Motzeh ani isha mar mimavet, or is this woman better as death? Right? That's how they would ask the guy after the wedding. He would know. Anyway, but look at that. Matzah tov, matzah tov. And finally, we can't get away from this. The very last verse of Proverbs, very last verse of Proverbs is Eshet Chayil. And the Eshet Chayil is not the woman who sits and collects coupons. And she's not the woman who, like the prophets are screaming mad at, who are sitting on the tables of the wealthy. Parota Bashan, as some of the prophets say, cows of the hills of Bashan, who are interested only in acquiring, only the husband's acquiring wealth and wealth and wealth. Instead, this is the woman of valor, Eshet Chayil mi Yansar, who finds, right, a woman of valor, right? Her value is greater than that of precious rubies, the most precious stones, right? And how does she act? She is the one, she runs the family business, she does the weaving, she does the cooking, all of these things. She takes care of the people who are poor. She gives them the clothing, reaches her hand, makes sure the people are clothed in the family. She is the one who is dealing in the marketplace, right? Strength and dignity of clothing. She laughs at the end of this. She has no fear of death. I have done right. Existentially, I am not afraid of what may happen. Now, Yashruha, right? Children praise her, her husband praises her. Rabot banot asuchayil, there are many great women, but you were the greatest of them all. All right? Sheker chen v'chevel yofi. Grace is deceitful, beauty is vain. Isha yurat Adonai hitit halal, the woman who is God-fearing, she is to be praised. Nulami pri yadeha bi'aluha b'sharim maseh. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and they shall praise her in the gates. B'sharim means in the government, in the public realm, she shall be praised. So that's, notice how the book of wisdom ends with this, the beauty of the wisdom as the feminine. Okay, so now let's wrap up Adon Olam. We'll all just sing together Adon Olam and keep it simple. Yeah. No. Jeff said, why don't we talk about Proverbs? He gave me a good idea. So I said, okay, last week was the introduction. And I said, okay, this week I'll just follow up. Okay. After that, I want to go into, yeah. Well, I'm trying to think. Good question. I must have said something. I'll go check it over. Go review it on Facebook and then tell me what I said, and I'll give you an answer. Okay, or YouTube. Yeah, then I'll know what I said. That's the problem with brilliance is you don't remember when you say something. Yeah. Can't remember how it was so brilliant. I can't remember it. Anyway, let's finish Adon Olam. We'll go for Kiddush. To get 5:14. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'nasa B'chefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'Acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hove והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשיל לו להכבירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה, והוא אלי וחי גואלי, וצורכב לי בעת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, בידו אפקיד רוחי, בעת אישה ויעירה, וימרוחי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא יירא. שבת שלום. שבת שלום.